everyone, and welcome to a video tutorial for this autumn leaves necktie in the Tunisian crochet technique. So we hope you enjoy it. Please like, share and subscribe, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye. Okay, so for this necktie, this autumn leaves necktie project, you'll need yarn. Now you can choose as many different colors as you want. You could even use a graduated color yarn, but I'm going for these autumny colors. I'm making 3 leaves, so I've got 3 different colors, and each leaf will be a different color. You can make 2 leaves, 3 leaves, 4 leaves. You could even go more than that if you wanted to. I'm going to show you 3 leaves. I've got 3 different colors here, and I'm going to use 2 of my colors to create my ties. Now this yarn here is a cotton acrylic blend. It's a 2 weight, but I'm going to double strand, okay, to get a thicker weight yarn than this one. These leaves will be too small for me if I just use a single a single strand, but you go for whatever look you want. I want a slightly bigger leaf, so I'm going to double strand. You'll need a crochet hook that will correspond to your yarn. Now this one is obviously a bit larger than what I would normally use for this yarn, just because I'm double stranding. Now your crochet hook, what I recommend is that it's one of these long, flatter ones. So as in flat, there's no, no grip or anything on the bottom of it. You want a bit of length to work with this Tunisian technique, and as I said, I've got a 4mm there. Now I've got 2 darning needles. I'm going to use this one. Now during the Tunisian crochet technique, I just find this useful to have. You could use a smaller crochet hook, but I'm going to use this plastic darning needle. You'll see what we need that for soon, but if you haven't got something like this, just use either your darning needle, or use a smaller hook size. And you'll see what that's for when we get to it. This one this is for my sewing at the end, weaving in my ends, perhaps a little bit of hand sewing, and it's got quite a sharp point and a larger eye than normal needles. I've got a pair of scissors, and I've got a tape measure to take an optional measurement of your cat's neck circumference, but as long as you've got a ballpark figure for this project, you're fine. We're making ties, so as long as you make your ties long enough to either tie a bow or tie a knot at the back of the neck, you're good to go. Okay, so here's the one I've made previously. This is a mercerized cotton. I also double stranded. In these more sort of muted colors, but equally pretty, I think. So how to make this, you'll need to know making a slip knot onto your hook and creating a chain. From there, I'm going to show you how to do this Tunisian crochet technique to create this leaf shape. And yeah, I'll run through it with you, and then for the first leaf, and then I'll leave you to create your other 2 leaves in exactly the same way on your own. At the end here, we have a chain 1 picot, and across the top will be single crocheting. Now you've got a couple of options when we get to this neck area. What I've done is I've used each of the tail ends to single crochet across the top to give this neat finish, and also to attach my leaves together. Now I also did just a little bit of hand sewing first, just to to keep them in place, but that's you don't really need to do that. You could do a little bit of hand sewing afterwards if they're not sitting exactly how you wanted, but with the single crochet along the top there, that will keep them in place. And then from there we'll be creating the ties. Each tie is exactly the same. We'll be making a chain to the length that you need, slip stitching down the length of the chain, and then just attaching to the side here with a slip stitch. And then we'll tie on and we'll create the other side as well in exactly the same way. So they are beginner-friendly techniques, and if you are keen to try this Tunisian crochet technique, this is the ideal project to get started with it. So yeah, let's get started with our first leaf. Okay, so to get started, leave a bit of extra tail there. So you want a little bit of extra because we're going to use that for some single crochet across the top of the necktie once we're done with the leaves. So leave a little bit of extra tail, and I'm leaving about 20 centimeters. And then you'll make a slip knot onto your hook. And then from there we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, then make a slip knot into that first chain. So the chain furthest from the hook. Make a slip stitch, I beg your pardon, slip stitch into that first chain. And you've created a loop there that we're going to work into. Okay, now we're starting, just to give you the sort of lay of the land, we'll be starting here and working our way, so we start radiating outwards. Okay, so our central point is always this point here, which is where we're starting. Okay, so you're going to start with a chain 3, 2 and 3, and then we're going to start our Tunisian technique. Okay, now it'll be easier for this first row, but basically you'll see the principles. So we go in one direction and then we go back the other direction. Okay, so insert your hook into that first chain. So not the very first chain, the second chain from the hook. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, move to the next chain, insert your hook, pull up a loop, move to the center of the circle, insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then we're going to pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so that gives you an introduction to the technique, and I'll show you on here where we've started. So we've got our loop here, so this is our chain of 5 that becomes our loop, and we've just done this first little bit on the side here. Okay, so we're starting here, so our rows are going to move this way. Okay, and this is our last row here. Okay, so now we've done that first row, we can move along to our second row. Now this is where I'm going to use my little plastic darning needle. Now what you want to do is locate, so move your tail out of the way. So see, I'm just pulling that away from me, and you want to locate these loops under here, so this one here. Okay, and sometimes you just need to pull them out a little bit. Okay, and this one here will be the next one, and then the next one will be this one here, under here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to insert our hook into that loop. Now actually, I'll just give you a tip. If mine is quite loose, I'm working quite loosely, but if you want to check, just pull out that you've got the right loop. Just pull out your hook for a moment, insert, a smaller hook or whatever you've got into here, and see it'll decrease the size of this hook. That means you've got the right strands. Okay, so just insert my hook back in there. And now I actually do need to pull it out a little bit because I've pulled it a bit tight. So I'll just pull that out slightly. And that's what I've got to work into. Okay, so I'll insert my hook, pull up a loop, move to the next one, this one here, insert my hook, pull up a loop. Now the last one is always, it's good just to turn your work towards you because it's always a little bit lower and further down. So this one here. Okay, so not these ones here, not this, it's behind, it's these two here. Okay, so that's your last loops in this, or last strands in this row to insert into. Pull up a loop. Now just push that tail backwards and you can work over it. Insert your hook into the ring and pull up a loop. Okay, and now we're just going to do the same. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So that's row 2. So we're basically just repeating that same thing. Okay, so to 10 rows. Okay, so move these tails out of the way, and it's this one here. It might just take you a couple of rows to get used to which one it is. It's kind of can be sometimes hidden underneath your tails and this strand here that's next to your hook. Okay, but if you want to do that little test, just pull out your hook, insert into which, see if you put it into this one, it's not going to change this hook size, this loop size. Okay, but if you put it into the right one, it'll change the size of your loop. Okay, so you know you've got the right one. So let's just tighten that again on my hook without tightening too much that strand. So insert your hook in there, pull up a loop, insert your hook in the next one, pull up a loop, insert your hook, the next one, and the last one next to the ring. So just remember, you're going to just have to turn this towards you a bit. Here they are here. Well, for me, I've got two. You'll only likely have one, but I've got two because I've got two strands. Insert your hook in there, pull up a loop, and then always your very last pull up a yarn over, pull up a loop is into the center of the circle. And then just doing your back pass, yarn over, pull through 2. I just have to be a little bit more careful because I've got the double strands. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over, pull through 2, and that finishes your third row. So you can see your leaf starting to take shape here. Let's just once again refer to the one that we've already done. So you can see here, we're starting to get this kind of shape here. Okay, so if you remember, we've started here. This is first row, second row, third row. 1, 2, 3. So that's how that sort of fits in. It sits down here like this. Okay, so we're just going to keep moving along with the same technique. So find that if it gets a bit hidden under there, see how it's pulled tight here. This is actually a really good example. Okay, you can see in here, see this one's it's a little bit tight. I just need to put my plastic darning needle in there and just move that loose a little bit, and then I can continue on with my next row. Insert my hook, pull up a loop, insert my hook in the next strands, pull up a loop. See, they kind of start to pop up for you as long as you're not pulling your work too tight. So best to work, you know, a little bit loosely with this Tunisian technique. And this last one, as always, let's just show you once again, just don't be distracted by this here. It's these down the back here. Okay, insert your hook, pull up a loop, and as always, our last one goes into the center of the ring, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and 2, and then our last 2. Okay, so I'm going to let you continue on now. I'm going to let you continue on with your technique, and this one has come up a little bit loose. I might just go back and finish that one, fix that one. That's just come a little bit loose. But that's basically it, and we're going to do that for 10 rows. So there's our first row, second, third, fourth. So we've done 4 rows. You want to do 6 more rows in exactly the same way. Okay, so I'm going to let you go ahead and finish your next 6 rows. If you need to go back and just, you know, check the technique again, then please do. Otherwise, keep going until you've reached your 10th row, and I will meet you there. Okay, so I'm just finishing off my final row here, the 10th row, and as you can see, and you know, you'll be experiencing it, you want a lot of space on your hook once you get down to these sort of larger, longer rows. So that's why having a grip on your hook for this project can be a little bit tricky. Okay, yarn over, pull through 2. So I'll just finish off this pass. two I just have to be a little bit more careful because I've got these double strands. And this is going to finish off our first leaf. There we go. Last two pull throughs and we're done. So that's rows, 10 rows. So the way you count is, as I showed you before, so not this outer edge, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay. And then you will chain 1, and we're just going to do a chain 1 picot. So to do that, so after you chain 1, insert your hook into this area here, and then so into these loops. Now it always looks like there's 2 loops, but just remember I've got 2 strands, and then into this one here right on the side. So the strand on the side there. So these 2. Okay, and then you will pull through, so a slip stitch, pull all the way through, and then you'll just yarn over and pull through, leaving a tail to weave in, and just snip off that end. So that's your first leaf done. So we'll just, what we'll do, let's weave in this bottom end now, just to show you how to do that. So you just want to do a little bit of hand sewing that will let you shape that bottom corner of your, once again I've got 2 strands, so it's a little bit more tricky to thread my needle. So I'm going to just pause for a second and thread my needle, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that's done, and let's just, so you want to turn it over and just weave into the back, but like I said, you want to, let's go down here, you want to just shape your bottom tip however you want it to be shaped. So when you're doing this, just pull it to the shape that you want. Just work up along this side. So you're weaving in your end and also shaping your leaf. Now I should say that little tip on the end there is kind of optional actually. You don't have to do that little tip. I just like it because it gives just a little bit more shape to the leaf. And then I'm going to weave up into here. So I'm just weaving in this tail end. So of course you don't want to pull too tight because you don't want to misshape the tip that you've just made. So it just gives it a little bit of extra point. And as I said, that's, you know, it's optional to do that. If you just want to leave the point without the picot, you could totally do that. Now I'm just going to finish off weaving in these ends in the back here, and what you'll do is you'll go ahead and make as many leaves as you want for your necktie. So I'm going to recommend that you make at least 3, but you know, 2's also cool, 4, 5 even. If you've got smaller leaves you might want more of them. But for me, I'm going to go with the 3 because I think 3 is kind of a cool number. So there we go. Just snip off any of your excess from that base of that tail. And I'll let you go ahead and make your next 2 leaves, or however many you're making. And I'll see you once I've done mine. Okay, so there you've got your 3 leaves, or however many you've got. Now, I'm going to leave this a little bit up to you how you want to do it. I'm going to show you how I do the next stages from here. And if you feel like you've got a better way, then of course go for it. Now, before you start on this bit, what you can do is you can, you know, arrange your leaves how you want them to sit. And you can do a little bit of sewing just to sew them together, okay? But otherwise what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet along the top of the leaves. So insert your hook. So you've got your tail which is a slightly longer tail than normal. So just insert your hook into the circle. Let's just move those ones out of the way. Insert your hook into the circle and pull up a loop. And we're just going to chain one there. And what you'll do is you'll just single crochet along, so inside the top of that ring there, and just along the top of your leaf. So just kind of evenly spaced single crochets along that side of the leaf like this, and you can work into the edge. Now when you're ready to transfer over to your next leaf, what you'll do is you'll half finish your single crochet and then you'll pull up a loop with your next strand, so with the tail of the next leaf. So you'll put them in order that you want, and then you'll start to single crochet across the top of that next leaf. Oh, my two strands have not come through. So this is just to make it, neat across the top here, and attach your leaves together. And as I said, you can sew them first if you want to, so they're sewn together exactly as you want them. Otherwise you'll just work your way across so they're attached here. Now you might want, if you want them closer together, what you can do is not go right to the edge of this leaf, so you can start here. So just half finish a single crochet along here. So you get to decide how you want them to be, and then you'll just finish off that single crochet with your new strand and then work across the top. So you can work into the second one wherever you want it to be. Like this. I'll just pull that tail tight. So you can see I've just moved that over a little bit, like this. So it's going to sit like this. Okay, so I'm just going to finish off here just to show you the whole process. Let's just go one more into the center there. And one on the side. And then on this one I'll introduce the strand of my final leaf. Then I'll just pull through a loop with my final leaf, tighten those tail ends, that tail end on the second one. And then I'll just do a couple of single crochets across the top here. It's always a bit more tricky with two strands. There we go. So it's a way of sort of securing your tails as well. Let's just do another one across there. Let's see how we've got it. So you can see that I've got the leaves sort of sitting like that. Okay. Now you can, so with this last one, once you've got everything where you want it to be, just pull up a loop and tie off there. Now you can also, while you've still got a little bit of tail at the back here, what you can do is you can do some further sewing. So you can tack them together at the back here. So you, for example, I'm not going to do it for this one because I'm happy with how that's sitting. But what you can do is you can take any that's remaining and take your sewing needle and just, you know, attach these, obviously on the underside so it's not showing from the front, but you can attach these further together, you know, just makes those attachments a little bit more secure. Otherwise you're going to just weave in your tail ends into the back of each color. Okay, so I'm going to do that off camera. So you just do it in the same way as you did these peaks. So just weave in your tails into the back. Do a little bit of extra sewing to attach your leaves together if you want to. And I'll see you once I've woven in my ends. And then we're going to tie on and create our ties. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so there I've got my little triplet of leaves. So you can see that that looks nice and neat across the top there. I've just woven in those ends into the back. So now to finish off this project, we're just going to create our ties. Okay, so I'll do one of the ties and then I'll let you go ahead and do the second one on your own. So what we're going to do, and now you can tie on wherever you want to. So you could tie on, for example, here under that last single crochet. You could tie into just the hole. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tie on this side, I'm going to tie onto this last single crochet. So to tie on, you can, if you've got a different way, please do it your way. I just wrap my yarn over top of my hook, pull up a loop and chain one, and we'll weave in that tail end at the end, and then from there you'll just chain to the length that you need for your tie. Now for me it's going to be around 60 chains. And then I'm going to, well, I'll meet you at the end of one of my chain and we'll just slip stitch down the chain. Okay, so you'll chain the length that you need, and it will depend on the hook size you're using, your cat's neck size, and also, or the neck circumference, and also the yarn that you're using. So you go ahead and chain the length you need for your first tie, and I'll see you soon. Okay, so I've got 50 chains there, and that's going to be plenty for Melba. She's not a very big cat. Her neck circumference is about 24 centimeters, so that's going to be enough for her. Now we're just going to slip stitch in each chain until we get back to where we tied on for this first tie. So just slip stitch one in each chain until you get down to the end, and then we're just going to slip stitch back into this same place where we tied on. Okay, so you might have tied on, you know, wherever you've tied on, you'll just go back to that place. So you might have tied on right on the edge of the leaf, you might have tied on through the hole, but you know, wherever you've tied on to, you'll just slip stitch all the way back and slip stitch down into that hole, so or into that space. So I'll see you soon once I've done my first tie. Okay, so I'm just down here at my last chain, so let's slip stitch through there and just slip stitch, as I said, back into that same place you tied on, and then you'll just tie off, yarn over, pull through, leave a little bit of a tail to weave in, and then you're going to go ahead and repeat that on the other side. So you'll attach your, and actually just returning to this one, what you can do and what I will do just to secure that tie on, I'm just going to do a simple double knot between my two tails before I weave those in. And now of course you'll go across to the other side and you'll tie on in some corresponding area. I'm probably going to tie on about here. So, you know, you'll just tie on in a corresponding area on the other side, and you'll do exactly the same thing. Make sure you've got the same number of chains as you did on this side, and then, yeah, and then you're done. So I'll see you once I've woven in my ends and also completed this second tie. Okay, so here are my two versions of this necktie together. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. I think it turns out really pretty, and I just love this Tunisian technique, and the leaf I think is just really pretty, so I wanted to make one of these as an autumn project. So like I said, I hope you've enjoyed it, and please send along your photos. I'd love to see how you've created with this pattern and made it your own, and of course I'd always love to see photos of your cat wearing your creations. So please send along your photos to catventurous.community@gmail.com, or you can tag us on social media at catventurous.crochet. So thanks very much for being here, and we hope to see you soon. Bye. Hi everyone, and welcome to our Autumn Leaves necktie tutorial. Okay, hang on, one more. Hi everyone, and welcome to this video tutorial for our Autumn Leaves necktie in the Tunisian... Yeah, you ready to go? You ready to get down? Yeah? Drama queen. Ready? Okay, good girl.